first met you and asked you what makes a good MC, and the first thing, without hesitation, you said a good MC is a strong reader.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
what I plan to do, with this group of students is to play a track from Oz
Oh,
where it's
cool.
clear to, illustrate your skill as an MC, and then, talk about, what you said about, a good MC is a strong reader. So if you
Right.
could, just from your perspective, just explain, what you meant by that.
It's crazy because I don't know, back in those days, like I mean, I was really into the academic community
Mm.
so thick,
Mm-hmm.
and it made perfect sense because I was teaching a rap class, the
Yeah.
art of rap, how to MC.
And Rapidemics was a project at that
Yeah,
time.
around that time, I was
Mm-hmm.
immersed. But truthfully speaking,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about the simple nature of rap and what it is, it's rhythm
Mm-hmm.
and poetry.
Mm-hmm.
RAP, rhythm
Mm-hmm.
and poetry.
Poetry. Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you think of poetry, you can recite a poem and there doesn't have to be a rhythm to it.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of rhythm, you can be rhythmic and it doesn't necessarily have to be poetic.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of the two is what makes rap special because we are doing rhythmic poems, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, the fact that it's a rhythmic poem, that means there's musicality involved,
Mm-hmm.
but that also means, hey, I see the baby in there. That
Mm-hmm.
also means that there's poetry. And
Mm-hmm.
if there's poetry, that means there are words. And if there
Mm-hmm.
are words, that means that in order to be the best, you have to be familiar with words. You have to love words. You have to,
Mm-hmm. Love
words
words. That's
have to
good.
excite you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of what an MC, we are considered wordsmiths.
Mm-hmm.
So we use our words as our notes. And
Mm-hmm.
I use either or. I say the words are notes or the words are colors for painting. So if you were a painter, you would paint I think in those terms because or if you were a saxophone player, you're playing notes.
Mm-hmm.
So these words are the notes that you would play on your saxophone or on your piano or on your violin. So however good you are with how they sound, the phonetic, the very nature of the word, if you can just think in terms of a note, you have B or B flat.
Mm-hmm.
You can say the same word twice and it can mean something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, again, the master MC's read because it's one of those things where, for many reasons, if you talk about studying great writers, it's good to know how to set up plots if you're a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of what people are missing in a lot of the contemporary hip hop is storytelling, and it's become so much. Now, if you want it, you can find it on the internet, right? You want real, storytelling and rap, you can find it online.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also talking about the commercial, aspect of it. It's become more about writing songs with very specific topics that focus on specific, a specific approach to writing rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because that's one approach. But then there are other approaches. If you want to be a storyteller, you think as far as building a story, there's a beginning and there's a middle, which may not seem as relevant unless you saw the beginning or you heard the beginning of the story or you read the beginning of the story, and the end, which is the climax of the whole story itself. So, yeah, I mean, MCs who read have the ability. It's the same as MCs who sit behind same as a pianist who sits behind a piano and just plays different notes and tries different chord progressions. that's what it does. I mean, it's literally something that plays, to your advantage.
So it gives you that sensitivity to words, which, as you said, as an MC, you're a wordsmith.
Yeah, you should be obsessed with words if you're an MC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's
Okay,
no
that's
other way to
excellent.
see it. I can't
That's
look
with
at
words,
a
yeah.
sign on the street without dissecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I would see a sign that says parking, and I would anagrammatize it and make it say Rap King.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like words, I can't see a word and be happy with just the way it is. I want to distort it. If I see the word movie, I want to adjust it and make it say move E. Move E. You think of ways to play around with words. So yeah, it just goes hand in hand as far as I'm concerned. Oh, and in addition to that, subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
If your albums or your music as a rapper is limited to a specific topic,
Mm-hmm.
that means you need to read more as well. I mean, not only does it help to provide the music, the notation of rap, the musicality of rap, but it also helps as far as content.
Oh yeah.
Having stuff to speak on and to talk about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know is that Tupac, from the time he was a teenager, was an avid reader.
All the way till the end.
All the way. That's right. All the way through to the end.
All the way till the end.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video clip of him speaking in a Vibe magazine interview where he talks about reading The Art of War. I think he catalogs all of these books that he's read, and it's a lot of them. And he talks about the fact that he loves to read. Again, you can tell a rapper who reads when you hear them. I can immediately. It's like, because again, we have a limited reality. No matter who you are, even if you're well traveled, you still have limits to what it is you can know by way of where you were brought up and the biases of your family upbringing and all of that stuff. So when you start to read, you can delve into the ideas of other cultures and groups. It can make you a more universal writer, just from that standpoint alone of content.
Yeah. And speaking of cultures and background, could you talk a little bit about your background? And I mean, you have a fascinating story of even where you started your journey in hip hop. It didn't begin in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started in Ghana, West Africa, and the weird way it played out is I had a taste of hip hop before I left at the age of 12 to go to Ghana, and from 12, I spent 8 years in Ghana. Right, so you can imagine I lived in the inner city, you would say the hood, right? And I end up living in the suburbs or residential area, and I got a completely different experience with education being better and the musicality that was around me, the musicianship that was around me was either jazz or Western classical music.
Now, this is in Ghana. You're talking about your suburban experience?
Yeah, in Ghana. Okay. Well, you know what? To go a little further back with my experience in Philadelphia, which was all the way till I was 12. I mean, I experienced hip hop in the era when it was just about to really break and really explode. And so the purity was still there. It wasn't a lot of money to be made. So if you did it, you really did it because you loved it at that point, right? And so, I got to see the purest form of it before it became this multi-billion-dollar industry, which we have here now. So everybody wanted to do it because it was, a way to get money. But at the time, only people who really loved it wanted to do it because it wasn't really much to gain outside of, some local fame. And so I got to experience it then. And shortly after go again, like I spoke about, to Ghana. And I like to talk about that because I think that was the shift in my way of viewing rap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's two things. It's the natural thing is my uncle didn't respect rap.
Mm-hmm.
The one who raised me in Ghana, he's a classical pianist.
Oh, wow.
He didn't think rap was much of anything. And so my thing was to always prove him wrong. That was what I've lived my whole life trying to show him, that rap could be of the highest caliber of art, just like any other genre of music. And he's coming around.
But I think it also helps if you're a pianist as well.
Yeah, you know, I mean, well, look, he's a phenomenal, you know, I haven't met too many people that could play and think the way he thought in playing piano. But, you know, beyond just that, I think that environment was great to help me to really cultivate a mindset about my version of what rap would be.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you so much. That's beautiful.
Oh, no problem, Doc. No problem.
Yeah.